How's it going, friends? I am back again to look at some PhD stuff again. And the last time I looked at some stuff was a different track than this one. And it ended up being split into two tracks, and it was a whole thing. That track, or those two tracks, I think I'm kind of finished with. But this one you may remember from maybe a month ago. Started out just as this little chunk here. So let's just listen to that really quick. So that's basically all I had, but I've expanded it a little bit. I haven't arranged much, as you can see. I'm sort of in the process of arranging. This is our beat up the top here. Let's just have a listen to that quickly. And that was created, if I look at the MIDI clip, it's sort of all over the place because it's basically a chopped up beat, which the original source of the beat was an AI generated piece of music. I then split all of that up, I split the music up into stems. So I separated out the beat and got some pads and stuff. But you may have noticed with all of these, I'm sort of using drum racks to sequence them in ways that works for me. So in this instance, it sounds like this. That's jumping around to different snippets of audio, just so I could like pick the chords I wanted and just sort of shape something out of it. But what I'm going to do now, right off the bat, is I've got a little track here with a resampling setting on it, so I can just record like a bar of this. And there's a reason for that, which I'll get to in a second, but let's just record this really quick. Actually, before I do that, let's just turn off this shade filter device. What am I doing? Because that's giving us that modulation. Let's just turn it off on that one. And what do we have now? Yeah. So I want to record it so I can get the pads proper. So let's just do that again. That'll do. And the reason I'm doing this is because I'm going to convert this audio to MIDI. I'm going to convert the harmony to MIDI so we can try and extract some chords from it, because I want to play an instrument with the chords. So let's see how accurately it did that. Probably not very, but let's have a look. No. Okay, well that's not going to work, which is a bit surprising because it often does work. I think it's just because it's very noisy. But I've got like a bass line up here. Maybe I can use this, and the reason why I can't just use the MIDI, because again, it's... Oh no, it should work actually, because this is pitched. Yeah, let's just use this MIDI. Let's create a new track, and let's just bring this MIDI down, and let's create chords out of it. All right, so I've made some chords based on this bass line. I think they sound all right. So what we're going to need though is a pad or something to play them. So what I'm going to do is just bring in pigments here. And we're just going to pick a pad pretty quickly. Let's go to our types, pads. I like the sound of that, but it's playing like a chord, so it's not quite right. Again, it's playing a chord. Some of these pads are beautiful, but putting them in a mix, I don't know how that's ever going to work. God, I wish that wasn't a chord. I know that I can make it not a chord by, you know, tuning things differently, but like I can just take that 7th off. Let's take the sample engine off. Where's that noise coming from? Is that it? There we go. Instead of doing that, I'll just turn utility off. Yeah, cool. And all right, that'll do for now. We just need to get something in there so that I can. So because the thing is, God, I'm talking all over myself. I've added these elements here, right, and they're quite beautiful, I think. So I want to have these chords come in a bit after. Maybe I can just duplicate that. Additionally, we've got these other elements up here. These are AI generated files, which I've layered. They're all the same little clip. And that was a result of sending in this part here. Sending a loop of that into as a prompt into another AI generator, and this is what it came out with. It also had a text prompt in it to make it lo-fi hip-hop. I think it did a pretty good job, honestly. And then this is another prompt I got from the same audio. This time I asked it to create something like techno-y. Which, it's not techno, but you get the idea. So that's cool. The reason why I've layered them like this, I probably don't actually need that one in there, but it's to get different parallel processing, basically, to get different parts of it to shine in different areas. So like, this is the original, and then this is like a very wide version of it. And then this is heavily compressed, I believe. Yeah. So layered. Sounds pretty full. So the idea is, with these extra prompts, is to sort of jump between them and the original version. I've also expanded upon these with some little additions, like those bells I showed earlier. So actually, I don't really like those ARP bells, so I'm just going to mute them for now. But we come out of this. And in fact, it might be nice to put a filter on this. So which filter can we use for this? So if I just go and bring in a shade, let's try shade, that'll do the job. And let's just put a low pass in here. Low pass, resonant. Actually, let's do expander. And let's bring the Q right down, make the slope 12. Bring the Q up a tiny bit. And yeah, let's just add this as a macro in here. And I'd just usually like to add a controller for it as well, especially with shade, because things can get a bit weird when you start adding extra filters. I don't have to go into that now, but it's a thing. And let's just, yeah. So let's bring up our modulation, or our automation, I should say. Yeah, that's cool. But we need, let's duplicate this, and let's bring it down here, out of that group. In fact, let's bring it down here. We'll get rid of this, and let's put a different patch on it. I'll just make this different color as well. Let's open up pigments. This whole video is extremely disorganized, just by the way. This is just how I work a lot of the time. So you're getting a bit of inside baseball here. Types, let's go for pads. Let's go for atmosphere. Let's just go down the list a bit. Oh. Where are we? I want to be here. It's a bit low, so let's go to our MIDI effects and pitch it up by 12. Quite like that, actually. It's rare that I get a preset right away that I kind of like. Yeah, that's good. But it needs compression, maybe a bit of saturation. Let's try adding a devil lock. Just a little subtle amount of it. And then let's add a Lala. Maybe a bit of reverb as well. Let's go with black hole. So they're kind of like masking each other a bit, which is a bit annoying. But I think it's because this pad needs to be at a higher register. So we're just going to bring that pitch up a bit. And while we're at it, let's also let's give it some stereo width. Probably could actually just do that in pigments. Like maybe just add a chorus here. Add a Juno 6 chorus even. Yeah, that's pretty good. And let's get wider in here as well. Also, because I mentioned it's masking it, so naturally I could have just used an EQ, but sometimes you just need to change the register of something, otherwise no amount of EQing is going to help you. So already with, let's get rid of that micro shift, already sounds pretty different. Separated them quite significantly. Better. Yeah. So that's a cool transition. I definitely need to add some like build up to it and just some ear candy in there and everything, but that's something that'll come later. I'm still in arrangement mode here. Similarly, I'd have to go do a nice transition here, but that's less difficult, I think, because actually one thing that could be cool to do is to just take a bit of this, like say like that, and just fade it in, basically, like so. I should actually just link all of these, shouldn't I? In fact, let's do that. Let's link these clips. Why can't we have to link the tracks? Is that it? Link tracks. There we go. Let's just do this. Yeah, and I'll link these three as well. And we could do something here, maybe with an effect, like maybe with a filter. Let's bring in that filter. Where was our filter? It's on this one. Let's just copy it across here. And let's go back to our automation. Bring this in. Let's delete that automation. And let's put some automation here, maybe not as extreme, something like that. Let's just have a listen to that. And let's bring in a reverb. Let's bring in, where is it? Spark verb. And let's find a very large one. Vapor verb, perhaps. You know, it says it's large, but it's actually not that large. There we go. It's pretty cool. So the idea here is then to just do something like that, but maybe more like that. Yeah. And let's maybe bring in some of this beat as well. And I'm going to come back to these bells because I don't love them, but I think it's just that I don't like the sound. I don't like the bells. So we'll get back to that. But this sound here, I absolutely love, especially it's sort of very Nine Inch Nails, how it's sort of... But it's being drowned out a lot. So this section is just so intense. So I think I'll have to maybe like fade this track out or something. I'm not sure. I'm already doing that with this. Maybe I need to do that earlier, like... The other thing as well is I just need to make these soft plucks louder, which I'm going to do right now. And in fact, let's EQ them as well. It's got a lot of low in there. Low end there, we just don't need. And let's bring in another EQ, favorite of mine. It's a nice saturating EQ. And let's also bring in a buster. Already sounds infinitely better. So let's listen to this. Still not cutting through quite the way I want. So I'm going to layer another sound on top of that. Let's just add a MIDI track. Like, my instinct is to go for a piano, but I think maybe a synth might be better. A lot of the time when I'm using like these presets, like I often don't use presets, but sometimes it's just quick, you know, and you just need something quickly. So I'm going to bring in this instance of Falcon, and let's find a like bass perhaps, and let's just copy this down. Not at all what I want. Gonna play? awful. That might be all right, but I need to make it a different pitch. So let's go down here. No, it's not really very good, is it? Let's go with, instead of bass, let's go with lead, which is probably what I should have done in the first place. This one is doing something for me here. Yeah, let's just try that in context. Yeah, there's something to it, but it's not quite right. It's awful. None of these are really working. That's too much. You know what? I think I need a pluck. You know, maybe I'm looking at this the wrong way. There is actually a Max for Live device that I got recently, which might do the job. If I could just remember what it's called. I don't think I'm going to be able to remember what it's called. So that's cool. Why don't we try Gem here, though? I think that's probably going to do it, honestly. We get a Devilock and a Decapitator. It sounds pretty harsh, but remember it's going to be layered. And maybe some delay. Get a compressor on it. Why did I undo that erosion? Why did I do that? I want the erosion. Cool. sounding good. I think it needs a little bit of cleaning up. Just going to put an EQ on the end here. Need to put some more drum beats in there. Alright, so you've just watched me mess around with some stuff for a while, build some things. That's probably going to do it for this video just because I'm going to run out of hard drive space. I don't want that to happen. But yeah, I'm building something here. You can see there's a progression. I'm going from here to here, and then all the way where we started over here. So far from finished, but it's a work in progress. Let's just play it through where we've got it at the moment. All right, this jam is bothering me. You know, after all of that, I know that I said I'm going to close this video, but after all of that, I'm going to put a piano in because it's just going to work better. And for that, I'm going to use a Old Faithful from Spitfire. Where's Spitfire? There we go. Let's go with felt piano. We're gonna have to drive it pretty hard, I think. Okay, a little bit of Devilock, a little bit of EQ as well, just to shave off. So the other thing I'm going to do is to take this and just duplicate it on the octave above and just across a bit, maybe a bit less. It's a nice piano trick for those watching at home. And I think we're going to need just a little bit of reverb, and in this case I'm going to use Valhalla Shimmer. Let's get rid of this gem. Yeah, much better. So I'm definitely going to put a drum beat in this section. Yeah, so that's it. That's going to do this video. Sorry if that it was a bit chaotic. This is sometimes just how I work, and it's a bit weird doing all of this stuff on camera. I don't normally have people watching what I'm doing like this, and there's so many times where you decide on something and then you change your mind really quickly, and it's just the creative process, so bear with me. But that's going to do it for this video. I'll try to do another one this week as well, looking at some other things with AI generators. But that's going to do it for now. So I'll see you next time. Bye.